On the eve of the high-temperature apocalypse, the ice serpent and the fire phoenix both came to propose marriage to my sister and me. My sister fancied the tall and handsome fire phoenix, pushing the lazy, vicious ice serpent onto me. Unexpectedly, when the scorching heat arrived with temperatures reaching 70 degrees, my sister died instantly from the heat, but before dying, consumed by resentment, she poisoned her own belongings. When I went to collect her body, she had been poisoned to death. When I opened my eyes again, both she and I had reincarnated back to the time when we made the pact with the orcs. This time, she quickly chose the ice snake that could freeze water with a single drop, but what she didn't know was that after the scorching weather came the extreme cold. I'm curious to see if she and the ice serpent can survive till the end. 1. When the ice serpent and the fire phoenix came to propose to me and my sister Odessa, I had just opened my eyes. Odessa was dressing up, wearing the jade pendant our grandmother left her before passing away, that was left to me by my grandmother, but my parents favored Odessa, so they snatched the jade pendant away to give to her. After the extreme heat ended in my previous life, I went to collect her body, but unexpectedly, she had coated the jade pendant with deadly poison. The moment I touched it, I was fatally poisoned. She was certain I couldn't bear to part with my grandmother's heirloom and would definitely go looking for that jade pendant. She won't die a good death, nor will she let me live. Seeing me awake, she touched the jade pendant on her chest and sneered with disdain. A wretch remains a wretch. In this life, I'll make you suffer the torment of scorching heat. I want to watch you burn to death. I realized she had also been reborn and quickly understood her intentions. She didn't know yet that the ice serpent was not only gluttonous and lazy, but also utterly debauched, indulging in every vice from drinking to gambling. In the previous life when the heatwave struck, living under the same roof with him did spare me from the scorching troubles, but one must eat to survive. He earned nothing, yet pushed me out to scavenge for food during the blistering heat. Several times I nearly died from the heat. I still have to take care of him when I get home, when he's unhappy. He even makes me serve other snakes. If I don't obey him, his sharp teeth will pierce my skin, leaving no part of my body unharmed. Even if I don't die from Odessa's poison, I'll eventually be tortured to death by him. Moreover, Odessa died early in the previous life and didn't know that extreme cold would follow the high temperatures. The place where the ice serpent resides is already like an ice cellar. I'm somewhat curious how they'll cope when the extreme cold arrives. But I have no intention of letting go or giving up on the ice serpent. Odessa, are you so certain that our parents would let you marry the ice serpent? Odessa didn't expect me to say this and quickly asked what I meant. That ice snake is lazy and gluttonous, without any special skills, but the firefox is a regional overlord, not only wealthy but also handsome. Given our parents' authoritarian ways and their favoritism toward you, are you so certain they'll make you marry ice snake? Odessa frowned slightly. Alara, what do you want? Give me your jade pendant. During the wedding, with the bridal veil covering us, no one will be able to tell us apart since we look alike. I'll board your wedding carriage, marry the firefox in your place, and leave ice snake for you. I had already made up my mind to marry firefox, but I still wanted to take a gamble to retrieve the jade pendant my grandmother left me. Odessa was still hesitating, so I added, when the apocalypse comes, things like jade pendants will be worthless, they won't even buy you a block of ice. Do you really want to die from the heat again? The moment Odessa thought about the miserable way she'd died from the heat, she shuddered and hastily took off the jade pendant from her neck, handing it to me. Then she went out to find Frost Snake, wanting to get acquainted early and leave a good impression. As I held the jade pendant, I could still faintly sense my grandmother's warmth. Tears uncontrollably fell onto the jade pendant, unexpectedly unlocking its spatial power. So this was the true purpose behind grandmother leaving me this jade pendant. Closing my eyes to test it, the entire table along with all the food on it was stored into the spatial dimension. I tried again, and through mental control, I managed to take out the table and food once more. Then I experimented with many other items. Bed, TV, refrigerator, everything could be stored inside. It seemed like an infinite space, and miraculously, the food I put in an hour earlier was still hot when taken out. This means that once food is placed inside, it remains at a constant temperature. With such a fantastic treasure, whether it's extreme heat or freezing cold, I can handle it effortlessly, too, without any suspense, as decreed by parental authority and matchmaker's arrangement. Odessa was still betrothed to Firefox, while I was married off to Ice Snake on the wedding day. Following tradition, 2 wedding cars were parked at the entrance. Firefox's wedding car was extravagantly luxurious, crafted from pure gold, with the groomsmen all driving Maybachs. The entire procession was grand beyond compare. As for Bren the Ice Serpent, he only had a beat-up Santana car, and even that was obtained through a loan with collateral. Bren was cold by nature, with only a handful of distant relatives coming to accompany him for the wedding procession. Odessa felt a chill in her heart but still mocked me, just as foolish as in your past life. Do you think marrying him will make you a wealthy lady? Everything before your eyes is fleeting. You won't even know how you'll die when the time comes. I ignored her and directly reached out my hand to Firefox. Firefox Riven placed an elaborately prepared ring on my finger, a rare pink diamond, rumored to be valuable enough to buy an entire building. In my past life, I'd seen this pink diamond before when Odessa flaunted it incessantly in front of me, but now, this enormous ring reflected Riven's eyes as it adorned my finger. I was mentally calculating that I could sell this ring in a few days, which would allow me to buy plenty of supplies to store in my space, ensuring I wouldn't have to worry about food and essentials during extreme heat or cold. I had been wondering how to fill up my space, but everything requires money to purchase. Moreover, doing the math, the apocalypse is approaching much faster than expected. Riven didn't notice anything unusual about me and simply picked me up, placing me into the pure gold wedding carriage. I ran my fingers over the pure gold body of the car, itching to pull out my phone and check today's gold price to see how much this vehicle could be worth. I didn't even notice the way Riven was looking at me. Only when Riven sat down beside me and reached up to hold my hand did I feel my whole body tremble. I instinctively pulled my hand away, the fear of being coiled by multiple snakes in my past life surging through me again. Having lived a second life, I no longer harbor any thoughts of romantic love between men and women, only wishing to live my days in peace. Riven noticed my resistance, frowned slightly, withdrew his hand, and instructed the driver to take us home. Through the rear-view mirror, I saw Odessa's awkward expression, unhappy with the Santana that Ice Snake had brought. She wore a displeased lip but gritted her teeth and got in the car anyway. I couldn't help but feel a secret satisfaction. Odessa, it's your turn to endure the sins of that snake pit. 3. On the wedding night, Riven was taking a shower in the room. In the previous life when the heatwave came, everyone was too busy with their own survival, so I didn't know what happened to Riven. But I heard he treated Odessa extremely well. Whatever Odessa desires, he would go to great lengths to obtain it for her. I don't expect him to treat me the same way, but I still feel uneasy. What if he gets angry upon discovering I'm not Odessa? I've heard that the Fire Phoenix despises betrayal and deception the most. As for the Ice Serpent, there's no major issue there. The Ice Serpent originally sought to marry Odessa, and before the wedding, Odessa had already met him privately. She claimed to have admired him for a long time, so she schemed to swap places with me. Ice Snake was deeply moved, but a man's emotions are cheap. Despite all his professions of love, when it came to marriage, he still picked her up in a Santana. Truth be told, if he had been willing to strive a bit harder, with his abilities, he wouldn't have struggled to make money, just as I was thinking. Riven finished showering and sat down beside me, even though I've been married before. I couldn't help but swallow hard at the sight of that figure. Riven noticed me staring intently at him, suddenly blushed, and then walked towards me. The moment he got close, I felt the temperature rise. Although the air conditioning was on in the entire room, due to the Phoenix's constitution, I still felt the heat and instinctively tipped 2 steps back until I was against the wall. Riven's hand suddenly reached over, and I instinctively hugged myself tightly. Then I felt my head land in his soft yet strong palm. Turns out there was a sharp corner behind me. He blocked it in advance to prevent me from bumping into it. Ever since Grandma passed away, no one has cared about me like this anymore. Though it's a small matter, precisely because no one has ever cared about it before, even trivial things become especially important. My heart softened, and just as I was about to say something, I heard Riven say, "Since you're not ready, let's wait and talk about it later." Without waiting for my reaction, Riven took a pillow and went to the study, for, since the apocalypse is coming soon, I didn't dare to delay. As soon as I woke up, I started planning today's big shopping trip. When I got up, Riven was eating breakfast. Because of what happened last night, it was somewhat awkward, yet he appeared completely unfazed, instructing the butler to bring out the breakfast that had been prepared for me. There were dozens of varieties, including all kinds of desserts, pastries, and even several types of beverages. I had never eaten such a lavish breakfast before. I picked up my chopsticks and began devouring the food ravenously, eating while thinking, Odessa is so foolish, not knowing how to cherish such good days, insisting on suffering in that snake pit. In my past life, on our wedding night, Bren kept me up all night. The next day, I couldn't even get out of bed. When Bren woke up hungry and saw me still lying there, he nearly crushed me to death with his serpent tail. Bren just wanted a free caretaker to handle his daily needs, food, clothing, and shelter. I thought about resisting, but I was no match for the Ice Serpent's power. To avoid more beatings, I had no choice but to obey him. It was absolutely delicious, especially the peach blossom pastry and crystal shrimp dumplings. Every flavor was exceptionally good. Having memories from the apocalyptic end of my previous life, I treasure every single bite I get to eat. When the apocalypse comes, forget about these delicacies. Even having tree bark to eat would be considered lucky. If only I could still eat these things during the apocalypse. When I finally had my fill and looked up, I realized Riven had been staring at me the whole time, without touching a single bite of the food in front of him, so he had been watching me all along. I swallowed the last bite of my soup dumpling. Cheeks still puffed as I asked him why he wasn't eating. Don't they feed you? I don't dare to speak. My table manners just now were indeed not very proper. Butler, continue preparing more food for the lady. She hasn't touched those dishes in the corner, so don't serve them anymore. Riven pointed at the milfillion sandwiches in the corner. My eyes widened in surprise as I hurriedly said, "No, don't. It's just that I couldn't reach them. They were too far away." Riven paused for a moment, turned to instruct the butler to replace the table with a round one next time, then left. As the butler directed the maid to clean up the remaining food, I asked, "Could you pack these for me? I used to keep a few dogs, and it'd be a waste to throw these away. I'd like to feed them." The butler hesitated and said, "If you need, I can have someone prepare proper dog food specially. These might be." I immediately shook my head, indicating that I only wanted these. Seeing this, the butler promptly ordered someone to pack up all the food for me. When no one was around, I secretly stored all the food in my own space. This way, when the apocalypse comes, I'll have delicious breakfast to eat. 5. After finishing breakfast, I didn't dare rest and first went to the jewelry resale shop to try selling the pink diamond. The pink diamond was beautiful, but when the apocalypse comes, this thing will be useless, otherwise. Odessa wouldn't have died from heatstroke in the previous life. When I took out the pink diamond, the shop owner was stunned and kept asking if I was sure about selling it. This pink diamond is extremely rare, and its price keeps rising every year. What a shame. Seeing my persistence, the boss asked me to wait a moment. After I agreed, he went to a corner to make a phone call. Only after finishing the call did he come back to tell me it could be sold. How much? I looked reluctantly at the pink diamond in my hand. It was my first wedding ring. In my previous life, forget about wedding rings, I didn't even have a decent piece of clothing. 50 million. Hearing that number, my hesitation vanished instantly, and I hurriedly handed the diamond ring to the boss. Seeing the enormous sum of 50 million in my account, I felt a surge of security and headed straight to the flea market. The boss saw I was just a young girl, but didn't neglect me and greeted me warmly. I glanced around. This shop had a fairly complete variety, so I asked the boss to take out a notebook to record my order. The boss smiled and said his memory was good enough to remember what I wanted. "All right then, I'll take 50,000 gene of rice, 50,000 gene of flour, and 1,000 gene each of red beans, black beans, soybeans, broad beans, and peas, also cornmeal, buckwheat flour, sweet potato flour, and cornstarch. 1,000 gene of each, and also 1,000 gene of rapeseed oil, peanut oil, 500 bags of salt, 1,000 gene of white sugar. Do you have those fruit candies here?" And I was about to continue when the shop owner interrupted me. "You're not joking, are you? What does a young girl like you need so much for?" No wonder he asked. After all, no one usually buys so many things at once. I explained that I was opening a large grocery store and came to stock up, although the owner still seemed somewhat doubtful. Judging by my attire, he half believed me and carefully noted down my order in his notebook before preparing the invoice. All these items added up to a staggering 850,000, but when the apocalypse comes, these things wouldn't be obtainable even for 80 million. The temperature is too high for any plants to survive, so everyone has to rely on stored food. Fights often break out over food supplies, even between family members. Only after seeing my payment did the shopkeeper cheerfully pack the goods for me. Fortunately, my wallet was well stocked, otherwise I wouldn't have dared to buy so many things at once. The shopkeeper was very decent and immediately arranged for a driver to load the goods for me. To avoid drawing attention, I had the driver take the car to an abandoned warehouse under Riven's name. Before leaving this morning, I specifically asked the butler about it. No one's there, and it won't raise any suspicions. After the driver and his crew unloaded the goods, I used my telekinesis to store everything in my dimensional space at once. This space of mine is surprisingly roomy. Even after putting in so many things, it feels like less than 1% of the capacity has been used. In that case, I'm going to shop without restraint. I went to the appliance market again and bought 100 air conditioners, heaters, freezers, solar generators, wind turbines. This way, whether it's extreme cold or extreme heat, I'll be prepared. 6. By the time I got home, it was already dark. Riven was sitting alone in the living room with no lights on, yet his body emitted the unique glow of a phoenix, warm and gentle. Seeing me return, he asked where I'd been. I didn't dare to admit what I had done, stammering, "I just arrived here and am not very familiar with the place, so I went out for a walk." I kept my head down. not daring to look at him, but as I lowered my eyes, I suddenly caught sight of the pink diamond in his hand. Wasn't that the very one I had sold? I looked up at him in shock, and he had been staring at me all along. As our eyes met, I was so embarrassed I wished I could disappear into the ground. Are you short on money, or just don't want to marry me? Riven walked right up to me, standing just a palm's distance away. I could clearly feel his breath, but I didn't know how to respond to him, so I could only tactically retreat backward. Stop backing up. You'll hit the corner again. There's a pillar behind you. I glanced back and saw Riven's hand behind my head, as if afraid I might bump into something. Not wanting to hurt his feelings, I said to him, "It's not that I don't want to marry you. I've just been a bit short on money lately, so..." Hearing this, Riven immediately broke into a grin. "Money's easy to solve. How much do you need? I'll have someone transfer 100 million to you later, but you're not allowed to sell this ring again." With that, he slipped the ring onto my finger. I nodded emphatically at him. He seemed very happy, humming a tune as he returned to his study. The next day, I continued my grand shopping mission. Yesterday I bought a lot of basic equipment and food. I checked again. The breakfast I put in yesterday was still warm when taken out, with no spoilage at all, and the taste was exactly the same as before storing it. This means I can store many ready-to-eat meals in the space, so even if I can't cook later, I can always take out food to eat. During breakfast, the dining table had changed into a round table, and Riven was already waiting for me. Seeing many more dishes on the table, I abandoned all table manners and kept stuffing food into my mouth. Riven seemed quite happy and ate a lot. In the midst of eating, I suddenly asked Riven what she liked to eat. Riven's ears suddenly turned red. "Anything is fine." I nodded and observed that he had eaten more of the steak and salmon in front of him, then blurted out, "We need to buy more steak and salmon." Riven pursed her lips and smiled. "Actually, we don't need that much." The voice was too soft. I couldn't hear it clearly at all, just focused on eating. After finishing, following the previous routine, the butler had someone pack all the food for me again, and I happily left. This time I went straight to major restaurants and ordered 100 portions of each house specialty. There were roast duck, kung pao chicken, grilled cold noodles, spicy blood tofu, boiled beef, grilled fish, twice-cooked pork, fish-flavored shredded pork, and of course plenty of steak and salmon. In addition, there are all kinds of seafood, fruits, and vegetables available. Even if the apocalypse lasts 100 years, it's enough for me and Riven to eat. Although Riven and I treat each other with respect, I can sense his kindness towards me. Besides, the money I have was given by him, so of course I should consider his needs. Thinking of this, I went back to the clothing store and bought many outfits, especially cold weather gear for extreme winter conditions. Passing through the menswear section, I hesitated. Riven has a phoenix constitution with naturally high body temperature, so he might not need this many clothes even when ill, but just in case, I still bought him plenty of winter clothing based on the sizes I remembered. I even purchased numerous sets of thermal undergarments for him, since Riven gave me a lot of money again. I didn't hesitate when shopping and quickly gathered all the necessary items. Counting the days, the apocalypse is just around the corner. 7. When I woke up in the middle of the night, Riven was sitting on the bed staring at me. He only spoke after seeing me wake up. "I don't know why the temperature suddenly spiked to 50 degrees tonight. I was worried you'd feel hot, so I came early to turn on the AC for you. Are you okay?" I looked at Riven. His face was drenched in sweat. Between his natural body heat and the current temperature, he was unbearably warm, but concerned the AC might be too cold, he'd set it to a comfortable human temperature. Touched by his thoughtfulness, I immediately hugged him. "If I don't take the initiative, will we never have a future? In my past life, I was hurt and had given up all hope for love, but Riven genuinely treats me well. I can't pretend not to see it." Riven didn't expect me to hug him. He froze for 2 seconds before reacting, one hand gripping my waist tightly while the other cradled my head. "How could I let you take the initiative in something like this?" Tossing and turning until dawn, the temperature outside had already risen high. I hugged him and whispered my secret in his ear. "Riven, there's something I need to confess to you. I'm not actually Odessa, I'm Alara, her sister." "I know." Riven's tone didn't change at all, as if I was talking about the most ordinary thing. "You knew?" Riven turned over and held me tightly. "The person I wanted to marry from the beginning was you. Did you think you were the only one who got reborn?" There's too much information, my brain just crashed. But Riven didn't give me any time to react, and started again. 8. Later, from Riven's account, I learned that he was also reborn. In the previous life, when the heatwave came, Odessa found him too troublesome. Not only did he eat a lot, but he also raised the room temperature, always looking down on him. She even pushed Riven out to find food, but it was a trap Odessa had designed with others, and Riven was captured alive, because Riven was massive, and the blood of a fire phoenix was a rare treasure. A single sip could quench thirst and produce saliva. So Odessa and others drank Riven's blood together, and Riven died from blood loss, but the scorching weather lasted too long, and Odessa couldn't hold on until the apocalypse ended. She died from the heat. In the second life, he was overjoyed when he saw that the person he married was me. I hadn't expected this, but thinking about it, it made sense. If I could be reborn, his rebirth wasn't anything strange either. As I was lost in thought, Riven held me tightly. Also, "You bought the wrong size, that's not my number." I knew what he was talking about, blushing all the way to my neck, but I suddenly realized that Riven had been following me lately, and I raised my hand to hit him. He didn't dodge. Again, 10. Since Riven was reborn, he was well prepared for the scorching weather in this life, having ordered the excavation of a massive ice cellar in advance. Moreover, the ice cellar was extremely well hidden, with only one exit known exclusively to him. Inside, there were plenty of food, supplies, and even numerous sets of baby clothes. "So you've been scheming against me all along." Of course, I definitely scheme against my own wife, but I didn't buy salmon or steak. I knew my wife had prepared some for me. I was so pestered by Riven that I had to bring out the salmon and steak I'd already prepared in my space. Knowing Riven loves to eat, I specially prepared a lot. The steak still maintained its medium-well temperature and texture. Riven took a bite and praised me for being good at managing the household and knowing how to shop wisely. Listening to his compliments, I nodded emphatically. "Otherwise, why would you trust me with all that money?" Riven was enjoying the meal happily. "You're wrong. I'll give you anything you want, even if you waste it. That's fine too." My nose stung with emotion. No one had ever treated me this way before. I didn't want Riven to see my tears, so I tilted my head up, trying to hold them back. But Riven noticed something was wrong, put down the fork, moved closer to hug me, and softly asked what was the matter. I don't know where to begin, so I just held him tightly. After a long while, as if he'd thought of a way to cheer me up, he asked if I wanted to watch a show. I looked at Riven in confusion as he turned on the TV, and to my surprise, I saw Odessa and Bran's home. 11. Even though a lifetime has passed, I still can't help but tremble when I see that snake pit again. Riven noticed my fear and held me tightly. "Don't be afraid, my love. It's all in the past. Now you're safely with me in the ice cellar. That beast can never hurt you again." In the previous life, Riven suffered so terribly because of Odessa, so in this life, he's being especially vigilant against her. As for Bran, he also cared, mainly wanting to see what the person who lived with me in the previous life was really like. He had long sent people under the pretext of checking the lines to install surveillance in Bran's home. Only upon seeing this did he realize that Odessa was not living well with Bran. When Odessa was at home, she was a pampered young lady who never lifted a finger, but after moving in with Bran, she had to do laundry and cook all day long. Although her parents were partial and gave Odessa a considerable dowry, it wasn't enough to sustain Bran's extravagant spending. Within days, Bran coaxed Odessa into taking out the money, which he then gambled away entirely. Of course Odessa was furious, but she also knew that when the heatwave came, she'd still have to rely on Bran's ice serpent constitution, so she could only swallow her pride. Fortunately, she was born beautiful, and Bran genuinely liked her, so he didn't resort to beating or scolding her at every turn. But even so, Riven was still furious. "Just thinking about you being with such scum in your past life makes me want to kill him. Don't I have you in this life? Having you is enough for me." Riven seemed to gain approval, nodding in satisfaction before turning her gaze toward me. 12. The days spent with Riven in the ice cellar were quite comfortable. Riven prepared all the daily necessities, while my space was also stocked with plenty of food and supplies. The situation in Odessa isn't looking good. Odessa originally thought her good days would come when the heat arrived, so she had been eagerly anticipating the hot weather. On the first day of the heat wave, she was overjoyed, lying on the rocking chair at home, enjoying the coolness from the ice snake. She felt incredibly comfortable. She even boasted on social media about having an ice snake husband. She placed a glass of water beside Bran, and within a minute, with just a slight exertion from Bran, the water turned into ice water. Under the 70-degree heat, the power system had long since collapsed. The entire world was without water and electricity. Forget about ice water. Even regular water has become something many people can only dream of. Someone on the black market offered to trade their villa for food and drinks, but no one paid them any attention. In the apocalypse, a villa holds no value. But food and drinks are truly life-saving resources. Only a fool would make that trade. Odessa has the cash cow of Ice Serpent. Trading for plenty of food and supplies on the black market, Riven watched Odessa's move and sneered contemptuously. "Idiot. In my opinion, Odessa is indeed quite foolish. Human nature is the most unreliable thing to test in an apocalyptic world. Odessa revels in the feeling of being admired by everyone, yet puts herself and Bran in danger." Riven gave me a mischievous grin. "Feel like going all in, remembering the hardships Riven and I endured in our past life. I naturally approved of Riven's plan. 13. Riven anonymously posted a message on the black market, offering a freezer full of ham in exchange for anyone who could retrieve Bran's snake gallbladder. He even shared a photo to prove it. Owning a freezer full of ham in the apocalypse is practically a sign of wealth. Originally, Bren was just a minor figure. After all, in this world where humans and beasts coexist, ice snakes with the ability to freeze water with a single drop aren't exactly rare. But with Riven's hefty bounty, Bran's name instantly topped the list, and the whole world was searching for who Bran was. I also added fuel to the fire by anonymously posting another thread. If anyone can capture Bran alive, I'll give 1,000 gene of flour, accompanied by an image of 1,000 gene of flour. 1,000 pounds of flour at this time is simply the existence of a god-level tycoon. The black market immediately exploded. Everyone was curious about what special abilities Bran had that could make people spend so much money. Of course, Riven and I had no intention of exposing ourselves. After posting, we stopped responding and just watched how things unfolded. Due to Bran's persistently high popularity, some troublemakers even offered a bounty of 5,000 pounds of rice for capturing Bran alive. Even in the post-apocalyptic world, there are always wealthy individuals hiding in the shadows. The fact that Riven and I were reborn suggests others in this world might have been reborn too. Anyone who can offer 10,000 pounds of rice must have stockpiled it in advance. Gradually, everyone grew more curious about Bran's identity. Bids in the black market kept rising until someone offered 10,000 pounds of rice to capture Bran alive. Unaware of these developments, Bran continued his days of indulgence, eating, drinking, and carousing, with supplies Odessa scavenged from the black market, but Odessa had long noticed these messages. 14. During this time, it wasn't that no one had made attempts or approached Bran, but Bran still had some tricks up his sleeve. His combat skills were sufficient, and for the time being, those people couldn't harm him. The failure to capture Bran alive has become the biggest news in the black market. Every day someone posts asking, "Has Bran been caught today?" Although Bran is highly skilled in combat, constant harassment takes its toll. After over a dozen groups came for him, he sustained significant injuries. Whenever injured, he would feed on Odessa's blood. As the number of injuries increased, Odessa's face grew paler. Just like in my previous life, there wasn't a single patch of unblemished flesh left on her body. She wanted to resist, but Bran simply wouldn't give her the chance, in the face of the apocalypse. Whatever genuine feelings Bran might have had for Odessa had long since vanished. Everyone was solely focused on their own survival. At one point, Odessa considered running away and even slipped out the door while Bran was asleep. She had just stepped out but turned back in a hurry after walking less than 10 meters. The scorching 70-degree heat outside was unbearable. She feared she might collapse from the heat before even reaching the gate, but counting the days, the apocalyptic heatwave would soon end, giving way to extreme cold. 15. Odessa was very happy when the temperature dropped. What made her even happier was that as the weather grew colder, Bran slept longer each day. He was about to go into hibernation. In my previous life, I took advantage of his hibernation to search for Odessa's corpse, only to be poisoned by Odessa. Odessa noticed Bran's change and secretly accepted a bounty for 10,000 pounds of rice on the black market. Riven and I exchanged knowing smiles. The fish had taken the bait. As the temperature dropped, Riven and I still lived in the ice cellar, originally possessing a phoenix constitution. A single flap of his wings could make the entire room as warm as a furnace. I have to hold him to sleep every night, and he's happy to spoil me. The heater and down jacket I bought earlier were completely useless, but with Riven, I'm more than content. After all this time, I'm now carrying a baby in my womb. Riven cherished this child dearly, being extremely cautious all day long, afraid that I might bump or stumble, while I also became increasingly drowsy. That day, I had just woken up and turned on the surveillance when I saw Odessa, trembling under the covers while holding a kitchen knife, slowly approaching Bran. The weather grew colder, and Bran had already entered hibernation. Because of Bran's presence, the entire house was as cold as an ice cellar. The reason Odessa hasn't fled yet is because she's been waiting for this moment. Without any hesitation, she raised the kitchen knife and directly slashed at Bran's vital spot, but the black market demanded Bran be captured alive, so she didn't cut too deep, leaving him barely breathing. Bran's blood gushed out, splattering across the entire wall, while Riven covered my eyes in advance, fearing I'd be scared. "Don't look. Your vengeance has been served. I wasn't watching." Riven told me what happened afterward. After Bran was slashed, in his dazed state he heard Odessa making a call to notify the buyer, and thus understood the whole story. Summoning his last ounce of strength, he circled behind Odessa, who was on the phone, and bit down hard on her neck. Blood splattered everywhere, far more than what he had lost moments before. Odessa met her demise. Bran also died from excessive blood loss before the buyer arrived. 16. Even with psychological preparation, As things unfolded according to Riven's and my plan, I was still startled, but then again, to save her own life, Odessa could kill Riven. How could she possibly show Bren any mercy? Riven was also deeply moved and pulled me into his embrace. Thankfully, in this lifetime, I met you. I held him tightly too, feeling equally grateful in my heart. He's the one I met in this lifetime. Story 2. The Central Meteorological Observatory predicts that starting from tomorrow, a new round of heavy rainfall will hit. This will also be the strongest rainfall since the second half of this year. Just when everyone thought it was just a heavy downpour, the flood had quietly arrived. In just one night, the water outside flowed into my bedroom through the window. My head buzzed, and I didn't even have time to put on my shoes before pushing the door open and running upstairs. You know, I live on the 6th floor, and the floodwater outside is already seeping in. 1. The dark clouds weigh down on the city. When I walked out of an old established restaurant a little after 8 o'clock, this was the scene I saw. It was already night, but the impenetrable dark clouds were impossible to ignore. It looks like it's going to rain heavily. Let's hurry up, urged Cade, the photographer, who was walking in front. The two of us quickened our steps and got into the car. Then the rain poured down from the sky. Cade looked at the extra layer of water on the front windshield and said, "This rain is really heavy." "Yeah, the weather forecast said it will rain tomorrow too. Fortunately, we don't have any scheduled trips for tomorrow," I said, feeling relieved. I'm a food vlogger. I came to J-City with the company team to shoot food videos. It's not easy to go out in such heavy rain. By the way, all your snacks have arrived. I asked the receptionist to send them to your room. You can just shoot a review video tomorrow," Cade said as he drove slowly. The windshield wipers on the front windshield were working nonstop, but they could only barely maintain the visibility. Suddenly, there were angry car honks around, mixed with curses. "Which bastard hit my car?" The car was surrounded by rainwater, and we couldn't see the situation outside, but since the cursing was so loud, at least the people should be okay. Before, I thought that being in J-City would just allow us to avoid the typhoon days. I didn't expect that the rain in J-City would be this heavy too. "I'm really out of luck," Cade sighed. I comforted him. "Well, at least it's just heavy rain. It can't compare to a typhoon. 2 years ago, when there was a typhoon where I was, I heard that someone was washed away and never found. I still have lingering fears about that experience. The drive that usually takes more than 10 minutes took us almost an hour. But the rain didn't show any signs of easing up when we got out of the car. Even though the water was flowing towards the garage below, the water on the road still reached above our ankles. I almost fell because of the current, but fortunately, Cade pulled me in time. "The water is flowing quite fast. Hold my arm and be careful not to fall," he said. I obediently grabbed Cade's arm. There was also a couple with similar actions. The husband was holding a child in his arms. The child was small, lying on her father's shoulder, and her black, shiny eyes curiously looked at my face. Coincidentally, we entered the hotel one after another and waited for the elevator. I stood next to her, and soon a small hand reached up to my hair. I looked down and saw the chubby face of the little baby. When she saw me looking at her, she grinned, revealing her rice grain-sized teeth. I couldn't help but smile along with her. At this time, her mother noticed and quickly took her hand away. Sorry. Did she hurt you?" "It's okay. It doesn't hurt." "How old is your child?" "She looks so small," I said. "She's 1 year old." I started chatting with her mother, and then I learned that the child's name was Tessa. Their family came here from a nearby city for a trip. We booked the train tickets for tomorrow, but I don't know if we can still go back. "It's never rained this heavily before," Everly said worriedly as she looked down at Tessa, who was still grinning in her arms. However, things didn't go as we hoped, too. In the middle of the night, I was awakened by the flood in my dream. I raised my hand to turn on the light and could still hear some water sounds outside. It was splashing. Sure enough, when I opened the curtain, all I could see was a sea of water, rushing down like a waterfall. The feeling of suffocation from being submerged in water and the nightmare once again flooded my mind. It won't happen. I've never heard of a flood in J-City. I quickly comforted myself, but standing by the window, I couldn't calm down. My mind kept thinking about what resources I could use if there really was a flood. In order to shoot review videos, I bought a lot of snacks and beverages. These snacks and drinks are enough for me to last for several months. There's also my mobile phone. Because of my experience of being trapped in a flood once, I specifically bought a mobile phone that can connect to a satellite to ensure that I can contact the outside world no matter where I am. But then the lights in the room suddenly started to flicker. I just turned around, and with a faint zee-woo sound, the lights went out. My mobile phone on the table lit up. I quickly rushed to the bedside to press the switch, but no matter how many times I pressed it, none of the lights turned on. I looked down at my phone and happened to see a red rainstorm warning at 0:44. Reduce going out and ensure safety. I opened my phone, wanting to check the specific situation outside, but found that the network had been cut off. There was no response when I called the hotel reception either. The feeling of despair of being unable to call for help in my dream once again welled up in my heart. Suddenly, a flash of light dispelled the darkness in the room. With a rumble, it woke me up while I was still pressing the call button on the phone. I quickly rushed to the bathroom to fill up water, in case of being trapped. The more water stored, the better. The cold water had already run out, and only hot water could still come out. I quickly filled the bathtub and the sink with water, and then rushed to the next room to call Cade. Save water quickly. Cade opened the door, rubbing his eyes. What do you mean by saving water? The water supply has been cut off. If we don't save water now, it will be too late, I said as I squeezed in and rushed towards the bathroom in the room. I didn't relax until I saw the water flowing out of the faucet. Cade followed behind me. There's still water, isn't there? This should be the water in the hotel's water tank. It's hard to say how long it can last. Accidents can happen at any time in the rainstorm. It's not impossible for the water tank to burst in the next second. I wonder what the situation is outside now, Cade said dejectedly after pressing his phone for a long time. I guess it's similar to ours. The water and electricity are cut off. Our situation might even be better, I said. Cade held his phone and paced restlessly on the spot. Didn't they say that there would never be a flood in J City? Why did we have to encounter it? Brother, stop pacing. You're making me dizzy. Cade, could you check the water? I'm going downstairs for a while. As I said that, I ran outside. Cade shouted from behind. What are you going for? I'm going to remind Everly and her family. The hotel is not located on high ground, and the swimming pool on the top floor is causing water to flow down like a waterfall everywhere. It's hard to say whether the rescue team can get close if there's a flood. Everly's family lives on the 3rd floor, and Tessa is so young. Everything needs to be handled carefully. I ran straight down the stairs. In the pitch-black stairwell, only my footsteps were echoing continuously. I counted the floors in my mind. I didn't turn on the flashlight on my phone to confirm until I counted to the 3rd floor. However, before that, I noticed the light shining through the gaps in the stairs first. I quickly turned my head, confirmed that there was a big 3 pasted on the wall, and then took a few more steps down and looked down. This time, I could see more clearly. The light was reflected from the water. Damn it, the water has already risen to the 2nd floor. Suddenly, voices came faintly from downstairs. We can't get in touch with the outside, and the water is rising higher and higher. What should we do? A strong light suddenly lit up on the 2nd floor. 3. The 2nd floor is a restaurant, and no one lives there. Most likely, the people still on the 2nd floor are the hotel staff. I walked downstairs and indeed met the security guard head-on. His pants were more than half wet, and his shirt was also splashed with a lot of water. He was holding a lit flashlight in his hand and looked at me in astonishment. I'm a guest on the 6th floor. Since I found that the water and electricity were cut off and couldn't get in touch with the reception, I came down to take a look, I said. The receptionist also walked up behind the security guard. When she saw me, she immediately put on a professional smile. Please don't worry, miss, after the rain stops, we will definitely contact someone to restore the water and electricity as soon as possible. We're really sorry for the bad experience we've caused you, but no one knows when the rain will stop, and the water has already risen to the 2nd floor. What if it continues to rise? The receptionist's smile froze instantly. I remember there's a small store in the restaurant on the 2nd floor, which has a lot of alcoholic beverages and snacks. If the rain doesn't stop, we'll need food and water. While the 2nd floor hasn't been flooded yet, we can still move them upstairs, I said. Others go to move the things first. The receptionist and I will go upstairs to call people down to help. While I was speaking, the water level rose a little more. If we waited any longer, it would really be too late. I ignored the panic on the receptionist's face, grabbed her hand, and ran upstairs. You knock on the doors on the left, and I'll knock on the doors on the right, I said. After that, I started knocking on the doors first, and soon the knocking on the doors on the left also sounded. The water and electricity are cut off, and the water has risen to the 2nd floor. Hurry downstairs to help move the food / hurry and help knock on the doors to call people downstairs to move the food, I said quickly as soon as I knocked on the door and it opened. After making sure that the person understood, I moved on to the next door. Except for the first few doors, for which I asked some people who didn't seem to have much strength to knock together. I asked the others to go downstairs. Freya, Everly opened the door and looked at me in confusion. However, at this moment, come quickly, the water is rising faster and faster. Shots came from the staircase. Everly, the water has risen to the 2nd floor. Quickly ask Phoenix to go downstairs to move the food. You pack the things Tessa needs and come to call people together, I said. I didn't dare to delay any longer and directly ran to the next door to knock. 1, 2, 3, damn it, why is the sound insulation of this hotel so good? Finally, the door opened, the water is rising, hurry downstairs to move the food, over there. 2 minutes later, we finally managed to call out everyone on the floor, except for those who really couldn't participate. Everyone else joined in the rescue of the food. They formed a long line between the small store and the third floor, continuously passing the food handed over from the front to the back. I was also among them. Later, I seemed to lose all sense of myself, and only the instinct to pass things on remained. All I could think about was to be faster, faster, and even faster. Suddenly, the person in front stopped moving. I looked down blankly and saw that someone had already collapsed on the ground, with their hair all wet and sticking to their body. With the first person as an example, more and more people collapsed one after another. I couldn't help but slide down against the wall, and my hand happened to touch the phone I had placed on the ground before. My heavy arms didn't want to lift up at all. I slightly moved my fingers and managed to press the power on button. 02:17. It suddenly occurred to me that in the Bible, the great flood came on the 17th day of the second month. Quickly go upstairs, the water is rising again. Damn it, this damned flood. No. I don't have any strength left. When will this stop? I should have never come to J City. The entire stairwell became noisy, but everyone still got up. Those who were sitting on the ground were also forcibly pulled up by the people passing by. Sit when you get upstairs. A minute later, the staircase on the third floor was crowded with people. Some were leaning against the wall, some were sitting on the ground, and some were even lying directly on the ground. But the only thing they had in common was that none of them were clean and tidy. During the worst days, everyone was wet all over. Everly took out a few bottles of water from her room. At this time, no one minded whether others had drunk from them or not. As soon as they got the water, they poured it into their mouths. I leaned against the wall, looking at the water that had risen to the corner of the stairs downstairs. I took 2 sips and then passed the water to the next person. The water is rising too fast. Uncle, is there a reservoir dam nearby? The security guard, who was 2 people away, was wringing out the water from his clothes. Without raising his head, he said, yes, it's just over 10 kilometers away. I looked back and saw that the water level seemed to have risen a little more. Quickly go back to your rooms and pack your things. The speed at which the water is rising is not normal. It might be that the dam above has burst, if you don't pack now. It might be too late. Damn it, is there no way for us to live? Well, that's exactly what I was thinking, but we still have to pack the things we need. Sister, could you please go and call the people on the 4th floor? We still need people to move so many things upstairs. Everly didn't participate in moving things before because she was taking care of Tessa. Now she still had the strength to go and notify the people upstairs. Everly agreed while patting Tessa's back. She turned around and said a few words to her husband, and then went upstairs. Open all the doors and windows. The house will be more likely to be washed away if the water can flow through. Also, don't forget to take the water from the refrigerator in the room. If your clothes and shoes are wet, wipe them quickly and change them. Don't catch a cold. I shouted to the people walking towards the corridor. After shouting, I felt that all the air in my lungs was gone. I leaned on the staircase railing and gasped for breath. The man in the gray clothes who was sitting on the ground and originally didn't plan to go back to his room also moved next to the security guard at this time. Uncle, come to my room and change your clothes. You're all soaked. The security guard was a bit embarrassed. Thank you, you're welcome. Uncle, you can take any clothes from my suitcase, if you don't mind. You can also use my underwear. After you change your clothes, could you please bring my phone for me? It's on the bedside. I really don't have the strength anymore. The room number is 305, and the door is open. Sure, leave it to Uncle, the security guard said. After the security guard left, when I recovered my strength, I used my phone to call the police for help. Hello, this is the 110 Police Emergency Service. Please go ahead, the operator said. After continuous busy signals and repeated dialing, the operator's voice finally made my tense nerves relax a bit. In response to the operator's questions, I told her about the situation in the hotel one by one, hoping that she could quickly notify someone to come and rescue us. Sister, why don't you wipe your face first? After I hung up the phone, the man in the gray clothes next to me handed me a piece of paper and said. Then I realized what the wetness on my face was. Did I actually cry just now? Sister, don't worry. I put this in my pocket when I went downstairs for a midnight snack before, although it's been in there for a while. It's definitely clean, he said. Thank you, I said as I took the paper from him. Sister, do you think the rescue will arrive probably when? I don't know. I hope it will come soon. I made an appointment with my buddies to go out and have fun tomorrow. Where are your buddies? It seems to be in Baishui village. Originally, he was going to pick me up at night, but the rain was too heavy, so I told him not to come, and I found a place to stay by myself. A man not far away joined the conversation. Baishui village is not far from that dam up there. Your buddy. For a moment, both of them fell silent. Maybe your buddy has already been transferred to a safe place. The rain was so heavy before. And your buddy was near the dam. The village cadre is most likely notified of the evacuation a long time ago. I comforted him. Sister, you're right, that kid is really sly. I've hardly ever outlived him in games, but within a few seconds, he got up from the ground and started carrying those things on the ground again. 5. At 2:26, the water was 6 steps away from the 3rd floor. Everyone had packed their belongings and came to move things. When they heard that I had already called for rescue, they all heaved a sigh of relief. Luckily, your phone still has a signal. Sister, my phone has no signal at all. Same here. Little sister, what brand is your phone? I'll buy one too later. At 2:35, the water was 4 steps away from the 3rd floor. With the previous experience and the addition of people from the 4th floor, more than 1/3 of the things had been moved. I wish there were compressed biscuits. One piece could last for a whole day. The receptionist, I'll report it later. Maybe there will be some the next time you come to stay. Well, I hope there won't be a next time. At 2:43, there was only 1.5 steps left between the water and the 3rd floor. There was still a quarter of the things left, and some people from the 5th floor also came down. At 2:47, just before the water rose, all the things had been moved to the halfway point of the 4th floor. However, the speed at which the water was rising was still accelerating. 3 or 4 more flashes of lightning streaked across the sky, illuminating half of the sky. Through the window at the staircase, even with the flowing water obstructing the view, I could still see the low buildings not far away that were almost submerged to the top. I wonder if there's anyone in there. Those are all shops over there. The upper floors are mostly used for making takeout. Then that's good. That's good. But just because they are shops doesn't mean there's no one there. The heavy rain last night exceeded everyone's expectations. Many people didn't have time to leave the places where they were, just like the hotel staff who are still here now. Not all of them are working the night shift. It's just that everyone is holding on to a glimmer of hope and hasn't voiced this possibility. Will we be okay? For a moment, no one could give a definite answer. We'll be fine. We will definitely be fine. I said loudly, we have 7 floors here. I've also experienced a major flood before. The dam upstream burst at that time, and I was only on the 5th floor, but I still survived. We have so much food and drink, and the rescue team has already been contacted. We will definitely be okay. Cade, who didn't know when he came down, also spoke up. That's right, maybe the rescue team is already on their way here. Everyone, don't be discouraged. That's right. We didn't move all these things up here for nothing, but... There are more of us now, I said. It's okay. I still have several large boxes of food in my room. I guarantee that everyone can have a bowl of food and there will still be some left over. That won't do. If my mom finds out that I'm wasting food like this, my butt will be in trouble. The tense atmosphere in the air finally dissipated. I said, it's okay. We promise not to let your mom know. Yes, we promise not to say anything. Right. We won't say anything. People who usually say things like this are the most likely to spill the beans in the end, someone retorted. It seems that you have a lot of experience, little girl. Many people laughed. Even Tessa in Everly's arms woke up at some point and laughed along. This little one is really brave. You guys, surely you're not less courageous than a child. Definitely not. How is that possible? I can still keep going. Of course. Everyone's eyes instantly turned to that person. That person smiled sheepishly. I slipped up. What I meant to say was definitely not. He couldn't help but rub the back of his head. Almost everyone laughed, but some people still looked out the window worriedly or hung their heads. Most of them were hotel staff, as well as the man in gray clothes and the uncle who had joined in the conversation with him. The sun rises early in summer in J City. Usually, it's already dawn at 4:30. It's 2:52 now. And there are still 98 minutes until sunrise. 6. After the jokes, the things that need to be done still have to be done. The 3rd floor has been flooded, and the 4th floor is at great risk of being flooded, so it's best to move all the things to the 7th floor at once. But the previous 2 rounds of moving have already exhausted the physical strength of too many people. Moving them to the 5th floor should be almost enough, right? The water shouldn't rise this high. Many people showed expressions of agreement on their faces. We didn't expect the water to reach the 3rd floor before either. The little girl who had slipped up before retorted, everyone, hold on a little longer. Once we move everything at once, you can rest however you want, and you won't have to worry about the water rising all the time. But we've already called the rescue. Maybe we won't need so much food at all. Let's take a rest first. It will still be in time to move the things when the water rises, someone said. The statement made many people waver. I went downstairs to check the water level and calculated the time according to the previous rising speed. The water will probably reach the 4th floor in about 40 to 50 minutes. Everyone, take a half-hour rest first. You need to regain your strength to move the things faster, the crowd cheered. People on the 4th and 5th floors can also take this opportunity to go back to their rooms and pack their things, especially don't forget the water in the rooms. It may be too late to get it once the water rises. The people from the 3rd floor before said enviously, we have much more time now than we did before. After 2 or 3 minutes, many people in the staircase dispersed, and the space became much more spacious at once. I sat at the staircase on the 4th floor, able to check the water level at any time. When do you think the rescue team will come? Kate sat down beside me and asked. I didn't say anything because I didn't really have any confidence in my heart either. I thought having that swimming pool on the top floor was really great before, but now it seems it's better not to have it. What do you think we're paying for this expensive hotel for? Isn't it just that we can take advantage of the company a bit more since it's a rare opportunity? Brother, don't think too much about it. At least the construction quality of this hotel is top-notch. We don't have to worry about it collapsing or falling apart, I said, patting Kate's shoulder, especially on the top floor. Not a drop of water leaked in, it all rushed outwards. Kate sighed. That's the only good thing about it. At 3:42, almost in line with the estimated time, I said. The water reached the 4th floor. There are only 48 minutes left until the original dawn time, but the sky is already pitch dark. Besides the pouring rain, it's very difficult for us to see anything else. Occasionally, when no one is talking, it feels as if we are in a prison cell in the water. At 4:09, the water reached the halfway point of the 4th floor. Tessa couldn't hold on anymore and fell asleep again. Someone's phone accidentally fell through the gap between the staircase railings. We only heard the sound of it falling into the water, and then there was no more sound. At 4:25, the water reached the 5th floor. Everyone in the hotel woke up. When you looked around, all you could see was either water or people, but at least we don't have to worry about not having enough time to move the supplies. However, the sky still hasn't brightened. At 4:30, the water is spreading towards the 6th floor. My phone rang. It was from the rescue center. Our hotel is located in the rapid current area. The water level is deep, and the flowing water from the top floor is obstructing the rescue team from approaching. But please rest assured that the upstream dam has been blocked, and the rise in the water level should slow down. After the call ended, no one said anything. It was only after a moment that someone cursed for the first time. Damn it! I shouldn't have come here just to earn that little bit of money. Then there was a chorus of curses, expressions of regret, and even crying. What are you crying for? My ears are almost going to be deafened by the noise, someone scolded. Sorry. That person gritted their teeth and turned their head away irritably. I pulled Kate and squeezed through the crowd to go upstairs. He happened to see me and asked, Where are you going? Going back to take a nap. We've already paid for the room, so we can't let the money go to waste. I turned to look at Everly. Everly, do you want to come upstairs with me? If the dam above is blocked, it will take at least an hour or two for the water to reach the 6th floor. If we leave one person to keep watch, we can sleep for a while. Everly hesitated for a moment, looked at Phoenix, and then nodded. It had somehow become quiet around us again. I heard someone muttering softly, How can you still fall asleep at a time like this? What else can we do if we don't sleep? We've done everything we could. If we sleep now, at least we'll have more energy to swim later if we have to. As I said that, I continued to go upstairs. Some people also followed me upstairs in 2s and 3s. The people on the 6th and 7th floors really got lucky. They didn't run up and down many times when moving things before, and now they can still continue to sleep, someone said discontentedly. Some people with thin skin immediately stopped in their tracks. I turned around and said, It's true that this is unfair to those who put in a lot of effort before. I remember that there are 36 people in total, including the people on the 3rd floor and the hotel staff. The rooms Kate and I booked are not small. We can divide the people into 18 per room. Everyone can squeeze in and lie on the floor, and it will be enough to sleep. Although it won't be very comfortable. My room can also accommodate people to sleep. The little girl who had stopped earlier stood up and said, After the first person, there was a second, a third. Maybe we should divide the rooms and sleep separately. I wasn't very tired when I was woken up at 4 o'clock. I can keep watch of the water level for everyone. If the water rises, I'll call everyone. Just don't close the doors, a resident on the 7th floor said. Then I'll give you my phone? If there's any new news from the rescue team or an emergency situation, you can contact them directly, I said as I unlocked the screen password and gave it to him, because other rooms shared the load. In the end, only 4 women were assigned to my room, and one of them was Tessa. The sofa was too crowded for 2 adults to sleep on. Everly took the initiative to hold Tessa and slept on the sofa. I slept on the bed with the other 2 girls. I don't know if it was because I was too tired or my nerves had been too tense before. As soon as I relaxed, I fell asleep quickly. I didn't have any dreams during the night. When I woke up again, the faint light coming in from the window shone into my eyes. It's dawn. 7. The good news is that the water hasn't reached the 6th floor yet. The bad news is that the rain is still falling, and the water is still rising, although its speed has slowed down a lot compared to before. The others hadn't woken up yet. I carefully got out of bed and walked to the window. The rain was a bit lighter than last night. Through the gaps in the flowing water, I could still see the vast expanse of water outside. The occasional treetops and buildings that emerged looked like a bit of waterweed or a reef in the ocean. However, the high-rise buildings in the distance were closely packed together, looking much livelier than here. I walked to the staircase on the 6th floor. The person sitting there had been replaced by someone else at some point. It was a girl with pink hair. She turned her head and looked at me in surprise. Sister, why did you wake up so early? I sat down beside her and handed her a small piece of bread. I woke up naturally when I had enough sleep. I stuffed this in my bag when I was catching a plane before. It's not included in the total supplies. She then thanked me and took the small piece of bread. What time is it now? It's 7:52. It's been more than 3 hours already. I looked at the water level, which was still 5 steps away from the 6th floor, and calculated silently in my heart, we can still rest for another hour. More than that, I came here at 6:57, and the water has only risen 2 steps until now. It seems that what we need to worry about now is whether we have enough supplies to eat. We looked at each other and laughed. After 8 o'clock, the others gradually woke up one after another. The first thing everyone did when they woke up was to come here and take a look. When they saw that the water hadn't risen, they all heaved a sigh of relief. These last 5 steps could hold out even longer than we expected. We divided the breakfast according to the rooms. It was almost 12 o'clock before the water finally rose above the last step. The people on the 6th floor had already packed their things and could leave as soon as they picked them up. Suddenly, someone ran over. Is there any cold medicine? Someone in my room has a fever. Everyone looked at each other, and no one responded. Very few people bring medicine when they stay in a hotel. Where is the person with the fever? Let's move the person to the 6th floor first, I said, and then turned around and shouted, you guys, ask if anyone upstairs has medicine. I'll go and ask right away. A voice came from upstairs. Then Cade and I followed that person to her room. The receptionist was lying on the sofa in the room with a red face. I reached out and touched her forehead. It was burning hot. She was facing inside before, and I thought she was still sleeping. The girl who came to call for help said with a sobbing voice. Another girl standing beside her also looked worried and guilty. Kate had already squatted down and shouted at them, quickly help me carry her up. The 2 girls were stunned for a moment, and then they rushed forward in a hurry to help me carry the person onto Kate's back. Give me my bag. After saying that, Kate carried the receptionist out. I picked up the piece of bread on the table that was probably left for the receptionist, patted the girl who was standing there in a daze, and said, come with me to get the bag. Kate's camera is not light. By the way, don't forget to take your own important things. I took the lead and walked outside. After a while, the 2 girls ran out with their bags. By the time we got our things, the water had already covered the entire 6th floor. Although it was only a shallow layer, the little water splashed up from time to time while walking was still annoying. I refused to think about what might be in this water. At this moment, my phone suddenly rang. The eyes of the 2 girls immediately lit up, and they looked at me. Is there any news? It's a call from my company. I answered the phone with my free hand. Are you still in J-City? My agent asked in a hurry. I frowned. What's the matter? That's great. You have no idea how popular J-City is right now. Some people with fast information channels have been live streaming there early in the morning. Each live stream has tens of thousands of views. You mustn't miss this opportunity. If you can do a live stream, then do it. If not, take more videos. All of these will be views when you get out. My agent's voice was so high-pitched that it made my head throb with pain, especially in those places where the floodwaters are extremely high and people are trapped. The more tragic the scenes you film, the more, brute, what did you say? I'm calling you a brute. The water in J-City should flood your brain. I'm not filming this. Get lost. I hung up the phone directly. After taking 2 deep breaths, I realized that I had stopped walking at some point. The two girls beside me were in the same situation. Sister, you scolded really well. Such a person is worse than a brute. They will definitely get their comeuppance sooner or later. Exactly, meeting their gazes. Somehow the anger in my heart subsided a bit. Don't be angry with such a person. Let's go upstairs. I wonder if they've found any medicine upstairs. With worry in our hearts, the three of us quickened our pace. As soon as we went upstairs, we saw a group of people gathered in front of a room door. What's going on here? Watching them give medicine, I randomly patted someone, and that person said, fortunately, someone brought a thermos cup, and there's still hot water in it, otherwise, we wouldn't know how to give the medicine. The two girls and I all heaved a sigh of relief and found a random place to sit down. 8. Giving medicine didn't take much time. Soon, the people gathered at the door dispersed. Kate and Everly, who was holding the thermos flask, came out from inside. Freya, Kate saw me and quickly walked over, picking up his precious camera. How's the person inside? I asked. The medicine has been taken, but we don't know if it can reduce the fever. There are only a few fever-reducing pills. If she doesn't get better later, we can only use ibuprofen as a temporary solution, Kate said, his smile fading. However, the more troublesome thing now is that the cold is contagious. We can't arrange anyone in that room. We're also afraid that others might not be able to hold up and get sick too. It would be great if there was hot water. Drinking a cup of ginger tea could also drive away the cold. Is there any ginger tea? I just found it when looking for medicine. It should be the kind you use during special times. When Kate mentioned special times, I remembered that it wasn't just about solving the problems of eating and drinking. The toilet needs of over 100 people are also a hassle. For girls having their periods, I don't know if there are enough sanitary napkins. My gaze landed on Everly. That's right, there are also children. Many things are not suitable for a little one like Tessa to eat. Eating cold water and cold food makes it even easier for them to get sick. For a moment, the atmosphere became gloomy again. It would be great if there was electricity or a stove, one of the two girls said. A flash of inspiration struck me. Cade, have those self-heating hot pots sent by the brand also arrived? I was so tired last night that many express deliveries haven't been unpacked yet, so I'm not sure if the self-heating hot pots have arrived. Cade, they've all arrived. Why, wow, sister, you're so smart. We can use the self-heating hot pots to heat water. One person quickly reacted. It happened to be lunchtime. Everyone managed to gather 5 thermos cups. Together with the thermos flask in Everly's hand, they could hold about 8,000 milliliters of water in total. The brand was also very generous and sent nearly 100 self-heating hot pots of all flavors, except for the boiling water in the thermos cups in the flask. The water used to make ginger tea was either cold water or warm water heated by the residual heat. Only 16 self-heating hot pots were used. The ginger tea was filled in mineral water bottles, and one bottle was shared among 4 people, together with some biscuits and bread. Another meal was taken care of. I just saw that the water doesn't seem to have risen much, someone who came back from the staircase happily said after the meal. This was undoubtedly good news for everyone. The receptionist's fever also subsided a bit. The 2 girls took turns taking care of her while wearing masks. Everly remotely directed her husband to tie Tessa's hair, but Phoenix tied it all crooked. It looked so ugly. If I wasn't afraid of infecting Tessa, I would never have let him do it. I was watching Tessa happily grabbing the little braids on her head when a girl came over. Sister, can I make a phone call? I want to let my family know that I'm safe. Sure, but making phone calls now is likely to congest the lines. Is it okay to send text messages or group messages? Others may also need to let their families know they're safe. And we need to ensure the battery life of the phones with signals to contact the rescue team. I quit my job in the government system to make videos. I've had several arguments with my family about this and we've been in a cold war until now. I'm used to handling things on my own, so I never thought about letting them know I'm safe. But the girl's words reminded me that most people probably want to let their families know they're safe. Especially those who still look like students. Yes. That's fine. Thank you, sister, the girl said excitedly. Do you need to count the number of people? I can help. Many people around who were listening also said they could help. Then how about this? 1 person from each room can come to count the phone numbers of the people in that room who want to let their families know they're safe. Before counting, ask if they belong to that room. If not, ask them to go back to their own room to register to avoid mistakes and omissions. I thought for a while and said, it only took 8 or 9 minutes for the statistics to come out. There are a total of 142 people in the hotel, and 141 of them want to let their families know they're safe. If I don't let my parents know I'm safe, they will definitely not let me off when I get back, someone said awkwardly. The people around all smiled knowingly, but why is there still 1 person left? Is there someone who hasn't been informed? How could you forget about yourself? Kate said helplessly. I patted my forehead. I'm so silly. Everly, after you let your family know you're safe later, go back to your room and rest for a while. There aren't many people sleeping right now, so you can even lie on the bed. It will be extremely crowded at night. Then I'll go early, I said with a smile, but entering and checking over 100 phone numbers still took quite a while to finish. The last number I added was my mother's, actually. I'm not sure if my family knows that I'm in J-City, maybe they don't, and sending this message will just worry them, but after hesitating for a few seconds, I still added it. What if they do know? 9. This is XX Hotel in J-City. Due to the flood, the signals of most mobile phones have been interrupted. In order to save the battery life of the phones with signals for contacting the outside world, this message is sent in a group format. Please rest assured that there is an ample supply of water and food in the hotel now, and your family and friends are all safe and sound. This message does not require a reply. However, if you are also in the flood-stricken area, you can reply with your situation and the names of your family or friends, and we will help convey the information. I read out the message content I had edited before. Is there anything that needs to be revised? If not, I'll send it. Everyone nodded in agreement. After sending the message, I gave my phone to Kate and went to my room to rest, but the door was open, and all kinds of sounds from outside kept coming in, making it impossible for me to fall asleep, but at some point, these sounds gradually faded away and became quieter, and I fell asleep in a daze. When I woke up again, it was already dark. I didn't know when 2 more girls had also lain down beside me, and there was one on the sofa too. On the bedside table were a small pack of dried pork slices, 3 pastries, and a small bottle of water. It seems that the food has been improved for dinner. Indeed, it's uncomfortable to eat bread and biscuits 3 times a day. I picked up the things on the bedside table and walked out of the room carefully. There were basically no people outside the room, only at the other end of the corridor did it seem that someone was sitting on the ground, but the doors of the rooms over there were all closed, and it was too dark to see clearly how many people there were. I walked over and finally saw that there were probably a dozen people, sitting in 4 or 5 groups. The time hasn't come yet, has it? Someone noticed me and said, "What time?" "Oh, it's you." We divided into shifts. Everyone takes turns sleeping. To prevent disturbing those who are sleeping, the doors of the other rooms are all closed. People in room 415 are playing cards. Those in room 414 and 413 are playing werewolf, and those in room 412 are telling ghost stories. There are activities in each of the 6 rooms. It seems that the situation outside should be okay, otherwise, everyone wouldn't be in the mood to play. Why don't you go in? I sat down on the ground, opened the packaging of the pastry, and asked, "We've played already." We came out because it was too noisy. I swallowed a piece of pastry. How high has the water risen? I don't know, but it should haven't reached the halfway point of the 6th floor yet. Oh, don't go to the staircase for now. There are a few people who haven't received a reply from their families and have all gone to hide there. As the person said that, they let out a sigh. Suddenly, I felt that the pastry in my mouth wasn't so easy to swallow anymore. Maybe their phones are just not with them or are broken. I hope so. At 11:30, it was time to change shifts for sleeping. All the doors of the rooms were opened, and the entire corridor became lively. From time to time, there were also voices like, "You change with me, you go first, I want to play one more round." Coming out, the people in room 1 came out irritably and said, "Can you be quieter? We still want to sleep." The corridor fell silent instantly. After a moment, the voices resumed, but they were all quieter. "Aren't the people in room 1 going to change shifts?" I poked the person next to me and asked. The room in room 1 is a large shared bed. The quilts and the sofa have all been carried to room 3. You can sleep there as you like. 10 minutes later, with the closing of the last door, the room returned to its previous liveliness. "Come on, let's draw cards." The scented candle on the table had burned almost halfway when suddenly the door opened. The water is rising quickly again. Everyone's hands stopped immediately. 10. How high has it risen? How long does it probably take to rise 1 step? I asked. There are still 9 steps left. How long? Probably about half an hour. Doesn't that mean there are only 4.5 hours left? The person opposite me stood up in fright. "Have you called the rescue team?" "I was calling when I came over." "What should we do?" "This is the last floor. If the water floods in, we're done for." "Can the rescue team come?" "I don't want to die yet." "Who wants to die? Damn it." The person threw the cards onto the ground. Soft sobbing sounds rose. My thoughts were also in a mess. Should we climb to the roof? But the roof is also full of water. One careless move and we might be washed off. Should we hide on the stairs leading to the roof? But with over 100 people, not to mention whether the stairs can accommodate everyone when the water rises, it's difficult to arrange the standing positions up and down. Who would want to die early if they can live a bit longer? Can we release the water in the swimming pool upstairs? Yeah, if we release the water, can the rescue team come? I had to shatter his illusion. The water in the swimming pool is too deep, and it's raining at night. One slip and we might be washed away. Moreover, no one knows the situation of the water pipes under the swimming pool. If something goes wrong, we might not even need to wait for the water below to rise. Then what do you think we should do? You used to have so many ideas, why don't you have any now? My heart's done. What kind of words are those? If it weren't for her, would you be standing here safe and sound with food and drink? Sister, don't take his words to heart, you've done enough, this isn't your responsibility alone anyway. As the elder sister said this, the man in the t-shirt who had spoken before kicked the bed with a bang and didn't say anything more. But the sobbing and cursing sounds from outside still kept coming in. Some people were even thinking about writing their last words. Suddenly, a voice broke through, "Move things to block the doorway. While there's still time, move things to block the doorway." These words woke everyone up from their confusion. The hand I had been clenching tightly relaxed. Yes, block the doorway. How could we forget this method? The elder sister exclaimed joyfully. Although blocking the doorway couldn't help us escape, it was better than just standing there waiting to die. People regained hope. Close the door first, and then stuff something into the gaps. Just using the door to block isn't reliable. We need to add an extra layer outside. The crowd became noisy again. Some people with strong initiative even removed the mirrors from the bathroom. It's a pity there's no glue, otherwise, if we stick the mirrors all over the door cracks, it would be more secure. It doesn't necessarily have to be glued. We can just block the door with boxes or something, but we still need to fix the mirrors placed on top with something first before blocking. A flash of inspiration hit me. There's still adhesive tape on those express boxes of mine that haven't been unpacked. The adhesive tape that's closely attached to the boxes definitely can't be used, but the part that's stuck on other adhesive tape can still be torn off and used. Although it might not be very firmly attached, it can still be used for a temporary fix. The adhesive tape on the boxes isn't necessarily useless, it can be stuck on other gaps. As long as there's something blocking behind it, we don't have to worry about it falling off. It can also prevent some water to some extent. There's also plastic. Many of my snacks are wrapped in plastic bags, and those cardboard boxes can be flattened and used to block an extra layer behind the plastic. Others added some more ideas. After confirming that there were no problems, they went to inform the person in charge at the front. Because there were too many people, at first, everyone was moving things on their own. Not only did they accidentally bump into each other, but they even blocked the way. I directly asked a big guy with a loud voice to stand on the table and shout, and then things gradually became orderly. Later, this big guy naturally became the person in charge of moving things. With over 100 people, it's easy for something to go wrong when they're in chaos, but with organization, the work can be completed more quickly accordingly. In less than 2 hours, the doors at both staircase entrances were blocked. This also included the time for organizing the order and discussing. The windows in the rooms also had their gaps blocked as much as possible, but it was impossible to make them as tightly blocked as the doors with layers upon layers. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the outside of the windows, hoping that the water would rise more slowly, even more slowly. The rain outside was still falling. Mixed with the sound of the rushing rain were also low and muffled sobbing sounds. Occasionally, I could still hear a few curses coming from nearby. During the period when the water was rising the fastest, there were even sounds of smashing and hitting. Soon, amidst the sound of footsteps and voices, these sounds disappeared, replaced by heartbroken cries. I borrowed hot water from Everly to give to the person crying, and then I found chocolates and self-heating hot pots from the pile of snacks and sent them to each room. In the dark and rainy night, people always need a little warmth and hope. If I get out of here, I will definitely go to the most expensive cake shop and order the most expensive cake for myself to celebrate. The girl with pink hair shed tears while biting into the chocolate. This chocolate is too sweet. Tessa, who was sleeping in Everly's arms, seemed to be startled by the sound and started to whimper. Everly quickly shook her arm and patted Tessa's back gently. Soon the whimpering stopped, and tears silently rolled down from the corners of Everly's eyes. Suddenly someone said, "It's good to be a child, they don't know anything." The others looked at Tessa with an indescribably complicated expression, but they tacitly didn't say anything more. On the second night of being trapped in the hotel, everyone except Tessa spent the night without sleep. At 4:52, the 271st minute after the water rose again, the sky turned slightly white, and the rain finally subsided. The pattering sound of the rain seemed to have a hypnotic magic. And one by one, people in the room felt their eyelids getting heavier, but no one really dared to fall asleep. If you're too sleepy, just go to sleep. I think the water level seems to have stopped rising, I said softly, and I'll be watching. I'll call you if there's anything wrong. The eldest sister, who was the first to yawn, gave a bitter smile. It's not that I don't want to sleep, but I really can't every time I close my eyes. I feel flustered. The eldest sister looked out the window. When will this end? Look at the sky, look outside at the sky. I turned my head and saw 2 helicopters flying towards us. Everyone rushed to the window. It's a plane. The plane is here. Hurry up. Tear off all the things on the windows. Upon hearing this, everyone in front of the window started to tear off the plastic and adhesive tape on the windows, and then they couldn't wait to open the windows and wave their hands. We're here, over here. Afraid that it wasn't eye-catching enough. I looked around the room, ran quickly to get a big bag of red spicy strips, and then waved it outside. As the sound of the helicopter grew louder and louder, Tessa woke up at some point and giggled in Everly's arms. 11 follow-up, the heavy rain stopped, and the flood gradually receded. J-City was in a mess everywhere, and the number of victims exceeded 100. I didn't leave J-City immediately. Instead, I applied to be a volunteer and stayed. My parents, who came to see me, didn't say much. They just silently transferred a sum of money to me and told me to go home and visit if I had time. The tabby cat at home had just given birth to several kittens. Besides me, 11 other hotel guests also stayed. Because we had been through hardships together, we felt a certain closeness to each other, so we often talked together. Today, I went to the East Street and came across a family holding a funeral. I heard that the person had just graduated from high school. And his parents' eyes were all swollen from crying, parents seeing their child off before them. After a long silence, someone said, as volunteers, we have been to many places, big and small, in the city, and we have witnessed firsthand the grief that this flood has brought to people. Farewell to loved ones forever, lovers disappearing, new buildings turning into dangerous houses in the blink of an eye. Many people's hard work for most of their lives has come to nothing, but fortunately, in modern society, as long as people are alive, there are still opportunities. After getting through the grief, people have cheered up and started to clean up and rebuild. People bending over to clean and disinfect can be seen everywhere on the streets, and there is also the dust raised by garbage trucks and construction material trucks passing by. There are also large trucks loaded with full supplies coming from various provinces and cities. Before I left J-City, those small street shops that had been washed over by the flood opened up sporadically again. Children were chasing and playing on the streets, and adults were sitting in front of their doors chatting about daily life. After leaving J-City, I went home first. As soon as I entered the house, a kitten wrapped around my foot. I obediently grabbed Kate's arm. "Me, you're back so soon. I still have one dish left to cook. Are you hungry?" "I'm okay. I'll wait until you finish cooking. I'll just go and put away the things in the suitcase." After that, I stayed at home for another 2 weeks and filmed a food vlog every 3 or 4 days. My dad didn't say anything, and my mom would give some instructions from time to time, like you added too much water and too little seasoning. I edited these into the video and made fun of them, but unexpectedly, my fans found it very interesting. Later, when there was no sound of my mom in the video, they would ask when I would let my mom appear again. During this period, I also received the news that the company had changed my agent for me. My previous agent, after failing to make me film videos in J-City, instigated other people under him to gain popularity in J-City. As a result, one of them almost killed a rescue worker in order to film a video and was scolded by countless netizens. Unable to bear the pressure, he tried to shift the blame to the agent who had instigated him. Naturally, netizens wouldn't fall for this. The agent deserved to be scolded, and they wouldn't let go of the person who filmed the video either. Later, it even affected the company and other anchors of the company. Now the people in the company couldn't sit still. On the one hand, they hired internet trolls to whitewash themselves, and on the other hand, they cut off their relationship with the agent and those involved. This matter started to make a fuss when I was in J-City and lasted for more than half a month. In the end, that anchor was terminated from the contract, and the agent was also fired. But according to Cade, the company didn't give a penny of compensation on the grounds that the agent was at fault. My agent refused to accept it and has been making trouble, but of course, the company won't compromise with him. Serves him right, Cade cursed, as those who have personally experienced this flood. None of us have a good impression of those who try to gain popularity from the flood and profit from others' misfortunes. In the hotel group chat we created, those who knew about this matter also cursed the agent, the receptionist. "I resigned and am going on a trip. Does anyone have any recommendations for fun places?" "That's great. My mom has been keeping a close eye on me recently. She makes several phone calls if I get home a little late at night." "Me too. I wasted all those leaves I took 2 days ago, when I called my buddy and said I would go to his place to play next time. My mom insinuated for a long time and asked us to change the place. "You can come to my place, there's the sea and seafood. It's an excellent tourist city in summer, and come to my place. I've newly learned how to make cakes. I'll make them for you if you come. The cake last time was expensive and tasted terrible. I really lost out. The group chat became lively with the conversation. I also joined in. Come to my place. There are beautiful mountains and clear waters, and there's also a lot of delicious food.